Governor Hickenlooper announced this week that Colorado will join New York, Massachusetts, and Washington in a lawsuit challenging President Trump's decision to end DACA. Meanwhile, the governor denied a pardon for a Peruvian woman who has been fighting her deportation after receiving a felony conviction for living and working under a stolen name and social security number. Mike, again, we have another twofer here, but I'll start with the governor's decision to join this lawsuit. Do we have a divide here between the governor making this decision on a lawsuit and our own attorney general, who I guess at some point would be the one having to do the work on this?
Well, yes, there is a divide. In fact, Cynthia Kaufman declined to join the lawsuit and has publicly stated that she disagrees with the arguments, the legal arguments. And so, however this system works, what's going to end up happening is not the Attorney General suing, it's the governor's lawsuit with special counsel from within the governor's office being allowed into the AG's office to run the lawsuit. So Cynthia Kaufman did not sign on to this. And the point, one of the big points is that regardless of how you feel about these kids, the dreamers, the fact of the matter is that DACA emerged as President Obama basically bypassing the legislative process when he couldn't get what he wanted out of Congress and creating exemptions to the law through executive order. This is executive overreach. Everyone knew it at the time. So essentially, what the governor's doing is he's saying, I approve of this executive overreach since I approve of the outcome of it. So the lawsuit essentially supports a pretty blatant piece of executive overreach. Attorney General Kaufman is correct in that this is a congressional fix, and in fact, it's headed to Congress. And I would think, given the last couple of days' events of Donald Trump being in talks with Democrats on the Hill, that we will see a DACA fix. In the meantime, thanks, Governor, for wanting to. So far, Governor Hickenlooper has decided to fix federal health care issues, and now he wants to fix federal immigration law via lawsuit. And in the meantime, our roads are still crumbling, Governor.
John, immigration is a very difficult issue to ride that middle rail. It's pretty thin for politicians, but this week kind of seems Governor Hickenlooper we're seeing trying to at least ride that. Here he is filing the lawsuit, joining other states in the DACA lawsuit, but then also not caving into other pressure to pardon the Peruvian immigrant who has had a felony conviction. Is he going to be successful riding this middle ground?
Well, at least nobody has called anybody an idiot in terms of the Attorney General. I mean, the governor hasn't gone that way. But at the same time, I think, when you have, this is one of those, like you said, a very difficult subject. And if you commit a felony and you use stolen paperwork and this and that to get into the country in the first place and set up your life, I think you're in terms of rails, you've gone off the rail. And I don't think the governor has any choice not to not pardon her. I think that's the right thing to do. Everybody, I'm for the dreamer kids getting citizenship or whatever the step would be to let them stay legally. They've been here since they were children, and if they stay out of trouble and they do the right thing, then I'm all for that. But I guess when all is said and done, the criminals should go. The kids that are good should stay. And I can't believe I'm even agreeing with Donald Trump. It's crazy.
Let it be known they're going to write this one, this day down, John. You're going to might pay for this later. Ian, two very different moves from the governor here. Your thoughts on both?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, something has to be done at the federal level in terms of comprehensive immigration reform. And that's why you see a cognitive dissonance at state levels all over the place, right? You see certain states setting up sanctuary cities, sanctuary policies to make sure that we can protect kids, protect parents, not disrupt families, not disrupt businesses, not disrupt education systems that have had these kids, they've only ever known this country. But let's zoom out a little bit. I mean, the common argument around this has to do with well, the parents didn't break the law, so the kids are innocent. At the end of the day, it's because we have a broken immigration system that does not work for anybody in this country at all. The line's way too long. The process is way too inefficient. We're not vetting people properly. We're not allowing the best and the brightest to come and contribute to our country, and they should be. I thought that DACA was unfortunately a Band-Aid that had to happen on a broken immigration system. You had a bipartisan bill in the U.S. Senate that passed, went to the House, and met an untimely death where 4 and 4, Democrats and Republicans in the Senate agreed we need a comprehensive immigration reform. This was before Trump and the wall, where things were a little bit more normal. So, where we are right now is a little bit different. But at the end of the day, you see these cognitively dissonant moves happening on the state level that, unfortunately, I don't think take into account the full human cost of these activities, when you're deporting people, you're changing their lives completely. And yes, this woman broke laws, but she wasn't a violent criminal, right? She didn't hurt anybody. She didn't kill anybody. She was simply trying to work to provide for her family. And people who are coming to this country to escape terrible situations in their home countries, we need to have a pathway for them to be able to settle in this country and contribute. We're a nation of immigrants. My grandparents came here after the Holocaust, after World War II, and as a result, I was lucky enough to be born here.
Patty, you know John Hickenlooper very well. You've known him for a very long time. Where do you think his heart is on this issue as we see two fairly different decisions this week?
Well, I would guess his heart is probably with all the immigrants who are having trouble dealing with this, who are good, who would be good citizens if they could be citizens. But I understand the difference between the clemency issue and the DACA issue, which is she made a choice to come here. She made a choice to use false identity. It wasn't completely victimless, although it wasn't a violent crime. So to offer clemency on that when there's so many people looking for clemency on so many issues, I think that would have been a tough call for him given the law. You can't compare that to what happens with the DACA kids, the dreamers who truly were brought here, no choice of their own. Most of them have been living exemplary lives. If they are criminals, we can face that. But good luck to Congress. You're just trying to parse all the information and all the tweets coming out the last few days. It's hard to tell whether to be optimistic that Congress has some kind of compromise with Trump or not, but they need to come up with a solution for those dreamers so they can get on with their lives, ideally for most of them here in this country.